ओम सर्व वेदांत सिद्धांत गोचरम तम गोचरम गोविंदम परमानंदम सद्गुरुं प्रणतोस्म्यहम्. We are trying to study Sri Shankaracharya's Viveka Chudamani, and last time we studied up to Shloka 129, and the topic there is the nature of this self. For a connection and continuity, we go back to Shloka 49, where the disciple has asked the Guru. It is put as a conversation between a Shishya and the Guru. First, disciple being burnt by the flames of this sansara has gone to a Guru, and the Guru has assured him that, don't worry, I will show you the way which many have taken before. And then he has praised the Shishya. And then the Shishya has asked, please tell me, what is this bondage? From where has it come? Where does it stay? How is one free from that? What is the non-self? What is the real self? And how to discriminate between them? These much are the questions. And the Guru has taken up the last question first, which will also involve what the non-self is, what is not self. And so he describes first the gross body and tells him this cannot be the self. That is the discrimination in very great detail. From outside to inside, that is the Vedantic process. So after that gross body, he comes to describe the subtle body in great detail, calls it the subtle body, also the Linga Sharira, the personality of the man, from which a man can be recognized, and then shows that what it is and how it is not the self, and that is how to discriminate. Then he comes still nearer and describes the original ignorance or wrong knowledge which generates this subtle body and the gross body. That Karana Sharira, the causal body, which we can recognize only in deep sleep. If we remember what we experience in deep sleep through the memory which we get in the waking state, we shall always find that I knew nothing, I slept happily. In these two sentences are necessary and sufficient to describe what we experienced in the deep sleep. I was very much there. Knowledge was very much there, without which memory would not have come. But there was no object to know. All objects had become one. And that avyakta, that non-manifested, is the causal. And then sleep means neither my organs were working nor my mind was working. That is the meaning of I slept. And there was happiness, which I was enjoying. That is the memory of the deep sleep, and it cannot be wrong. And that is the universal memory. Everybody may be suffering physically or mentally, but when he sleeps without dreams, then he is happy. And so I slept happily. But because of the ignorance, because we are as if we had tied a strip of cloth on our eyes and then gone to God to sleep with Him, we do not know that the bliss has come because of God. And so as soon as the mind and the body become refreshed, we come back to the waking state or the dream state or through the dream to the waking state. And that is things to be discriminated. They are neither of them are self. None of these three are the self. Gross body or subtle body or the causal body which we find in the deep sleep. And having told that now, he takes up the another question, emphasis on one's own real nature. So, what is Atman? What is my real nature? That we started seeing on the last term, and we saw that in 124 he said that now I shall tell you about the real self, experiencing which, Vijnaya always means experiencing which the man becomes free from bondage and attains Kaivalya. And this Kaivalya, one should understand that the same word is used by Sankhya, but with a very different connotation. Sankhya used this word Kaivalya or Kevala or Atman, which they think is only separate from Prakriti, Prakriti being real, and we all are different from each other. That is the Kevalata. Only separate from Prakriti, they call it Kevala. But the real meaning, which is expressed in this Vedanta or Viveka Chudamani, is that Kevala means one without a second. My real nature is the same reality which is one without a second. Whatever appears as second, third, fourth in this universe is the appearance of that one. So that is the Kaivalya. And by please be quiet, don't disturb others. So by experiencing this real nature, you will be free from all bondages. Bondage comes from wrong identification, and we will be free from all bondages, and you will attain to Kaivalyam, your own real nature, which is one without a second. Having told that, from 125, gloriously, he has started describing the real nature of man. We can read once more those shlokas. Asti kashit swayam nityam aham pratyaya lambanaha avasthatraya sakshi san panchakosha vilakshana. I'm not going to explain in great detail because we have done that in the last term. But let us remember what it was. The word kashit has come because it can never be described. So something like that is described. Swayam Nityam, it is always eternal and unchanging. And Aham Pratyaya Lambana, that is the main thing. This Ahankara, later on he will show in today's shloka that this is just an object. But when we utter the word Aham or think of the word Aham, what it is which comes as the support or the base of this expression of Aham, that is our reality. Aham Pratyaya is not reality, but Aham Pratyaya Alambanam is the reality. That one has to think. And Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti, these are three states daily passing. We are passing through them daily. And different. One who witnesses all the three states, I see my waking state. My real nature knows my waking state. My real nature knows my dream state. My real nature knows my deep sleep. We have discussed this with examples last time. And then Panchakosha Vilakshana, that also we saw that Annamaya Kosha, Annamaya Atma, Pranamaya Atma, Manomaya Atma, Vijnanamaya Atma, that I consciousness, and Anandamaya Atma, where I feel joy or expression. These are all like sheets in which the sword is kept. And inside and inside and inside we come. We do not go inside the Anandamaya Atma. We see the base of that Anandamaya Atma, and there we have the reality. It is only because this high consciousness is getting joined to that reality that the joy is coming. And so, A pain also comes that I have not yet realized. But that joyful pain or that joy, the basis of this is our real nature. Yo vijanati sakalam, jagrat swapna sushuptishu, buddhi tadvrutti sadbhavam, abhavam amityaya. One who experiences all that is experienced during the Jagrat Swapna or Sushupti, the Buddhi, we can discuss this word today. Buddhi is not the rational faculty which we have. That is included in the mind. When mind is told, what is there? Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar are different functions of the mind. So, Buddhi, which we feel, is included in the mind. And what is the Buddhi here? Let us start from what the Vedanta tells, Nishyatmika Vritti. Now I come to the conclusion that this is like that. But my conclusion changes tomorrow. What is the base of all these conclusions? What is the final conclusion? I am a jiva. I am a subject living in the midst of objects. This does not change till we realize our real nature. Till we realize our real nature, this does not change. So this is the nishya of all nishyas. This is the final nishyatmika vritti that I am a jiva. I am a subject living in the midst of this world of objects. That is our buddhi. And then tadvritti, everything else is the vritti of this buddhi. We cannot say everything is the vritti of our rational intelligence, not at all. But I am a jiva living in this world of objects. From here, all the waves are starting. I want to eat, I want to drink, I want to do this, I want to love, I want to hate. All my thoughts, all my feelings, all my resolutions, all my will, all my imaginations, the basis of all that is, I am a jiva living in the world of objects. And so, that is called the buddhi and tadvritti. Tadbhavam, abhavam. Now, suppose the buddhi vritti is not rising, that also I, my real nature. My real nature is the consciousness. Buddhi is the reflected consciousness which makes me feel I am so and so. So my real nature is being described and my real nature knows this I. Then only it is my real nature. When this I becomes an object, then only my real nature. And it notes this I and all the functions of this I. So, and it also knows that sometimes it is not functioning. In sleep, it does not function, though it is there. So, whether buddhi, vritti, sadbhav, the presence of the wave of this buddhi or the absence of the wave of this buddhi, all this is known to the real nature of man. And that real nature we should feel, aham iti prat, I am. Real nature cannot be known as an object. So to know the real nature means I am that. I am that real nature. In this way, the real nature has to be known, which is Sakshi of Buddhi and Tadvritti, Abhav and Bhav, which knows every experience through Jagrat Sapna Sushupti. In Jagruti, we do not see the world only. We see, I am seeing this world. This is Jagruti experience. I am eating so and so in dream. I am sleeping. That is in deep sleep. So I and the world and the relation, all this is known to the real self. It is the apparent modification of the real self. And so that is how the real self is being described. Yap pashyati swayam sarvam, yam na pashyati kaschana, yash cheta iti buddhyadi, na tad yam cheta iti ayam. So he is aware of everything. Nobody is aware of him because it is the reality, because the Antaratman. Nobody is aware of him. But as Antaratman, he is aware of everything. Buddhi, this I consciousness, is its reflection. It is he who ignites. Cheteti means you ignites, kindles this I consciousness as its reflection. Buddhi Adi. And then our mind functions and our indriyas functions and our body functions and all this is kindled or ignited by the presence of the Supreme Self or our real nature. Not that yam cheteti ayam. I am this real self. Cheteti kindles, ignites my buddhi, mind, etc., etc. These are not the self. That which is kindled by the real self is not the real self, but who he kindles, this, he is the real self. And then, yena vishwamidam vyaptam, yanna vyapnoti kinchana, abharupamidam sarvam, yam bhantam anuvate. He pervades this world. We have discussed this pervasiveness nicely that day. And no, nothing can pervade it. Abharupam idam sarvam. All this we see is a reflection, is an appearance of this reality. And yam antam anuvate. That shining, all this appears as shining. The sun and the moon give light to us or give light to the world, illumine everything, because it is the real nature of mind, the consciousness that has given illumination to the sun to shine everywhere. So, sun and moon and stars shine because of its nature, that it is the consciousness supreme. Yasya sannidhi matrena dehendriya manodya visheshu swakiyeshu vartante preritayu. Here, indriya, mana and buddhi, they all, because of proximity with the Atman. Somebody said that the most proximity of the Atman is buddhi. What buddhi? I consciousness. And then that percolates. Nearer to that I consciousness is my mind with my mana buddhi chitta ahankara all. And then my indriyas, and then my body. All these, in a way, are nearer to the self because through my self is nearer to my I consciousness. I consciousness is nearer to mind. Mind is nearer to organs. Organs is nearer to body. In this way, because of the presence or the nearness of the Supreme Self, they go to their objects. I consciousness goes to all the objects of the world. Mind goes to its objects, mental or physical. Indriyas go to the particularized objects of them, and the body also goes to the object for enjoyment. All this is Swakiya Visheshu Vartante Preritai. Preritai, as if he is directed. In a cinema or a theater, there is a director who directs the actors to do their part. Now, there he tells them, prompts them here. It is not like that. So, Prerita Eva, as if he is directing, because of his command, they are moving. He is not giving any command, but because of his presence only, all these are acting, though he is not giving any particular command. And so that is called Prerita Eva. Up till this, we had seen. Now we see the fresh ones. Ahankaradi dehanta vishayasya sukhadaya vedyante ghatavadyena nitya bodha swarupina. To know our real self, even to think about the real self, is not so easy. Ghatavad, we see a picture, a jar, as an object very clearly. Can we see our ahankar like that? The real self, that means myself, my reality, my real self. sees my ahankar. So unless we come to a position where this ahankar is objectified, we have not reached this real self at all. Starting from ahankar. So the same series which was told, ahankar, buddhi, mind, indriyas, body, all these are objectively seen by the real self. And also the objects of the world. All the subjective personality, the science takes no cognition of this. It analyzes the world, taking it to an object without calibration, without understanding the experience. But in Vedanta, which is the critique of experience, first of all, it is told the personality, subjective personality, ahankar, I, buddhi, mind, indriyas, all these are the subjective personality up to deha, up to body, because I feel I am the body, my body or I body. So it is subjective, but it is as object as a picture is. As we see a picture as an object, so can we see all these as objects? Then only we know what is our real nature. All that we feel as ourselves today, Gita in the 13th chapter tells us it is only the field which is given to you to bow the seeds and crop the results thereof. It is like the field. And the knower of the field is only one. One. The knower of all the fields is only one. That is my real nature. You call it God, call it your own real nature, call it Brahman, the reality of the world. That is the one reality which is the farmer or one who knows all these fields as objects. So that is the thing, that is a very important shloka. We must feel our real nature as that one which is the ego. We are so much identified with our ego that we cannot transcend it. We cannot objectify it. And so long as we cannot objectify our I, we can never reach the real nature. Ahankaradi, Dehanta, and Vishayas. And the relation gives us pleasure or pain. Sukhadaya. Sukhadaya means Sukha and other feelings like man, apaman, aviman, everything, everything, everything. Can we see them? Can we see anger is rising in me? Can we see? I am angry. That means I and anger have become one. But from ahankar up to sukha dukkha and everything, gata vad vidyate, that who knows all this, just like a picture is an object, in that way, that which knows object, then what is its nature? Nitya bodha swarupina. Only thing can be told about him. Of course, some more things can be told. But here, the main thing is that it is knowledge, it is a consciousness, permanently unchanging consciousness, that is its nature. Nitya bodha swarupina atmena, nitya bodha swarupina, by my real nature, which is of the nature of consciousness. I said some other things. Existence, consciousness, bliss. That is approximate description of my real nature. But from that, because of these Jnani people like Shankaracharya, they emphasize the consciousness. So, Nitya Bodha Swarupina, not I consciousness. Nitya Bodha, the consciousness, of which I consciousness is a reflection. And it can see, just as we see our reflection of our mouth in a mirror, similarly, this reality can see I as its reflection in this particular setup of body and mind. यशोन्तरात्मा पुरुषः पुराणो निरन्तराखण्ड सुखानुभूति सदैक रूप प्रतिबोध मात्र Yene Shita Vag Asavascharanti. So as I said, the next point has come. The Akhanda Ananda has come. In this shloka, he had told about the consciousness. And Esho Antaratma. We shall find him within ourselves. This also is an important because some people say when God is within, why should we see outside? It is within does not mean he is not outside. Already we have been told that it is all pervading. Inside means inside everything. Inside does not mean inside my body. We see things from outside. Can we go inside? See the minds of all men? Can we go still inside and see their real nature? So, Antaratma, the innermost reality of mind, Purusha. Purusha means Purishayanat Purnatvatva, all pervading and perfect, infinite, that is Purusha. Purano, it is always there. Old does not mean it gets rusted. Old does not mean it gets rotten. It is always same. That is called Purana. And of the nature of Nirantara Akhanda Sukhanubhuti. We also have some joys in our life. 1 minute joy, 1 minute misery. But can we imagine Akhanda joy? Can we imagine unbroken joy? Experience of the unbroken joy? Nirantar, gapless. Akhanda and Nirantar, both. Gapless, Akhanda, unbroken. Sukha, Anubhuti. That is the real nature of the Atma. Nirantara, this we can understand only through examples. And the supreme example is Sri Ramakrishna. Holy Mother is testimony. He said, I have not seen another Sadananda Purush like him. I have never seen him Nirananda. Whether he be with children, with boys, with grown-up people, with old people, or without anybody. Whether he is in Samadhi, she was critically asked. Even in Samadhi, she said yes. Even in the highest Samadhi, she said yes. I have never seen him bereft of joy. Let me tell you a story here. Because exception proves the rule. Na? One day, nobody was there. So Holy Mother thought that let me see if he requires something. So she entered his room. And he appeared to be not gloomier, but what we call serious, Gambhir. He appeared to be Gambhir. And she shouted, she wept cryingly, because that was a shock to her. She had never seen him with a serious face. And then, by signs, he is telling her, keep quiet for some time. Then she became silent. After some time, he said, I was calculating how much the disciples have progressed, what each person requires afterwards. So mathematics made him serious. And that was the absolute exception. And so she has the right to tell us that he is Sadananda Purush. This is a great example. So, Nirantara Akhanda Sukhanubhuti. Sada Eka Rupa. Eka Rupa does not mean from outside. Huh? From outside, the Rupas will go on changing. But inside, the consciousness is one without a second. That is constant, permanent in him. Pratibodha matra. Same word again. Pratibodha means Pratibodha matra. Let us think of the word Pratibodha. And let us to understand, bring to our mind the dream. In dream, we know that my mind has become not only the object, but also the subject and the relation between them. I am dreaming, I am eating a mango. My mind has become the mango, my mind has become I, which is eating the mango, and my mind has become eating also. Now, in the waking state, I am seeing you, I am eating a mango. My reality appears as I, my reality appears as mango, my reality appears as my eating. This is called Pratibodha. This is from Kenopanishad. That is the real nature of Atman. Real nature of Atman is that which shines in every Bodha, Bodha Spanda. In Sri Ramakrishna's language, Bodhe Bodhe Brahma. So the nature of reality can be known only through the life of people who are realized it. They may appear to be talking with us. They may appear to be moving with us. But inside their talk, inside their movement, inside their eye consciousness, everywhere they perceive the same reality. That is Pratibodha Matra. That reality which is felt as the innermost reality of my every vibration of consciousness. The reality which is felt as the reality of my every vibration of consciousness, that much only is my real nature. Pratibodha Matra. Yene Shita Vag Asavascharanti. He is the Lord, my Vani, that means all my Indriyas. Because of his ruling, they work. So both Nirguna and Saguna aspects are being told. He is reality one without a second. He is present in all my vibrations of consciousness, and it is under his rule that my Vani is working and Asava means my pranas are working. My karmendriyas, my jnanendriyas, and my pranavrittis are all working under him. That is my real nature. अत्रैष सत्त्वात्मनिधि गुहायाम् अव्याकृताकाश उषत् प्रकाशः आकाश उच्चै रविवत् प्रकाशते स्वतेजसा विश्वमिदं प्रकाशयन्. Where is he? Inside means where is he? Atraiva, here itself. Sattvatmani. So I explained the Sattvagun nicely. There are two types of Sattvagun as seen. The Shankaracharya himself has showed the Mishra Sattva and the Shuddha Sattva. So here is talking of our very existence, that is Sattva. Sattva-atmani. In our existence, inside our existence. Bhi Guhaya. So this Buddhi is described as Guha. Buddhi, I consciousness, is described as Guha, not the rational intelligence. Because the great revered Swami Yatishwaranji Maharaj, from whom I received the mantra, he used to tell everybody, feel the center of your consciousness. And there you are meeting God, in the center of consciousness. So this I, where does I function? Not here or here or here or here or here, I function. And there I, as if, is covering the reality. So it is called Guha. Buddhi Guha, Hridaya Guha, Aham Guha are all described one and the same thing. The Guha, because he is hidden there. Now, about hiding, I will tell you some funny story. Then we understand. That boys are playing this hide and seek. Now, all the corners and other things have become known. So, the boy, what they do, he is sitting in front of you, but covering themselves with a mask. But this mask, the whole body covering. You cannot see him. So he is near to you, he cannot see him. Now the reality, our reality, has taken up our mask. and he is near us, very near us, because our own mask he has taken. We cannot recognize him. We see the mask only. So that is Sattvatmani Dhigvaya. My intelligence, my mind, my buddhi, this is like a cave. Guha means a cave. This is where he is enclosed. So not only Annamaya Kosha and all that. Guha is a cave in which he hides. And this Guha is described as Buddhi Guha. So here again we understand the meaning of the word Buddhi is not the rational intelligence. You can never find God in our rational intelligence. We find God through its reflection, which is this high consciousness. So Digvayam. What is there in Digvayam? Avyakruta Akasha. Akasha again is a concept to be understood. The Westerners have no idea about Akasha. They tried a substance called ether and they failed. Akasha is the space. Akasha is the primordial matter. Akasha is that which has not broken into different objects of matter. The subtlest matter, the primordial matter, the avyakruta. Avyakruta, there is a little difference between avyakta and avyakruta. Avyakta means unmanifested. Avyakruta means not yet manifested. That means it will get manifested. So, avyakruta, akasha is there in that guha. In that guha, there is space which is not, which is about to be manifested. Ushat prakasha. Ushat means the very source of prakash, the very light shining there. Now, example. In the high sky, the sun is shining and it illumines the entire world. This is an example. Like that, in the innermost space, he is shining and revealing the entire world to us. This is how real nature of man can never be described. And Shankar is brilliantly trying to describe it as much as is possible. So we go inside ourselves, we go inside our eye consciousness, we find the primordial space there. In that primordial space, he is of the nature of consciousness, and that consciousness is shining so brightly that through its light we are seeing the whole world. That is how he is described. Examples, one sun is high sky. High sky because from that you can illumine the entire world. Here, one without a second, so you can illumine the whole world. Vishwamidam Prakashayan, manifesting the whole world through the basic light in our own consciousness. ज्ञाता मनोहं कृति विक्रियाणां देहेन्द्रिय प्राणकृत क्रियाणाम् अयोग्निवत्तान् अनुवर्तमानो न चेष्टते न विकरोति किंचन. Mind, ahankriti, I, vikriyanam, all the functions, modifications of the mind and I, the kriyanam, the actions of body, indriyas and pranas, they are all following it. Ayagnivat, ayognivat. There is a ball of iron. and it is heated in fire. Now it appears as if the fire belongs to it. It is a reflected or gifted heat. Heat belongs to the fire only. But all our things appear to be conscious. All our things appear to be conscious, and they follow you. Anuvartamano, just like the ball of iron follows the Agni which is inside it. Actually, if you see his real nature, he is not functioning. Na cheshtate na vikaroti kincha. Every function is due to him, but he is neither functioning, nor modifying, nor changing, nor acting. That is the real nature of man. न जायते नो म्रियते न वर्धते न क्षीयते नो विकरोति नित्यः विलीयमानेऽपि वपुष्यमुष्मिन् न लीयते कुंभ इवांबरं स्वयं. He is neither born, neither he dies, neither he grows, nor he gets reduced. He does not undergo any modification. This body may die, this body may disappear, or this body may melt down. Even then, he does not melt down. A simple example is given. Akasha is there and a pitcher, Kumbha, is kept here. Now Kumbha will break down, but the Akasha which was in the Kumbha, that will never break down. So the body appears to contain the ashram, Atman. Body and everything may go to Pralaya, but he will never go to Pralaya. In this way, the real nature is being described. प्रकृति विकृति भिन्न शुद्ध बोध स्वभाव सदसद इदमेशेषेम भासयन् निर्विशेष विलसति परमात्मा जागृदादेशोऽवस्था सु अहमहमिति साक्षात् साक्षी रूपेण बुद्धे. Aham, that is how he appears to function. Aham is being told in two ways. In Jagruti, aham; in Swapna, aham; in sleep, aham; and in me, aham; in you, aham; in everybody, aham, aham, aham. I am a boy, I am a man, I am a girl, I am a woman, I am a student, I am a sadhu, I am a wife, and all that. Different types of aham we speaking. Prakriti, Vikruti, Bhinna. What is Prakriti? The material of the entire world is supposed to be Prakriti. And it changes into grosser and grosser form, and we see the world. Prakriti and its Vikruti. The idea is somewhat from Sankhya, but they take Prakriti to be real separately. Here, Prakriti, Vikruti, Bhinna. He is different from Prakriti and Vikruti. Shuddha Bodha Sava. Its nature is only consciousness. Sat Asad Idam Ashesham Bhasayan Nirvishesha. Sad Asad means gross things appear real, subtle things do not appear real, but all that is illumined by him. Nirvishesha. Without any exception, he goes on illumining everything. Vilasati Paramatma. He is shining. Jagradadishu Avastasu. In all the three states, he is shining. Aham iti sakshat. Directly as I. Sakshi Rupena Buddhi. Again, Buddhi is the I consciousness. And he is the witness of the changing I consciousness in Jagrata, Swapna and Sushupti. Now, all this appears to be theoretical, and Vivek Chudamani is not theoretical. So Shankar now tells in the conclusion to this topic of real nature, the last shloka, concluding shloka of the topic of real nature, how to get at it. Niyamita manasamum tvam samatmanamapmani ayamaham iti sakshat vidhi buddhi prasadat jani marana taranga para sansara sindhum pratara bhava kritartho brahma rupena sanstha. So two things, how to know the real nature of Atman, and by knowing the real nature of Atman, you are mukta. First of all, niyamita manasa, regulate your mind. Control your mind, regulate your mind. Otherwise, all this becomes a theoretical talk. And your real nature, where you have to realize? Inside you. Inside you, you realize your real nature. And do not realize it as object. Not that something is sitting there. This word Atman sometimes is troublesome. It appears in the fairy tales, the Atman of that Rakshasa was in some work. So Atman appears as if something kept in me. Atman is my real nature. So from Atmanam Atmani. Atmani means within yourself. Find out your real nature. I am aham iti sakshat. And in what way? Not as an object, but as that is you. You, your real nature is that. By controlling the mind, find out what is your real nature and realize it as your real nature. Buddhi prasada. Buddhi, not rational intelligence. Your I consciousness should be prasada. Prasad can be translated in two ways. Grace, I consciousness should be graceful. The other meaning is joyful, tranquil state is called prasad. The joyful, tranquil state is called prasad, according to Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. Now, when this I consciousness becomes tranquil, when this I consciousness is filled with joy because of the union with the Atman, then through that you can find yourself. So, mind to be regulated, trying to go inside, and when the I consciousness becomes tranquil along with joy, the reflection, then you can see it, sakshat viddhi. Then you can know it directly, more directly than our direct perception. And once it happens, what will happen? Jani marana taranga para sansara sindhu. Sansara means transmigration, is compared with an ocean, boundless ocean. All the oceans which you know have earth on some side, but this is a boundless ocean, and in that waves are rising. Birth and death are the waves rising in this boundless ocean. You will cross over that. Pratar, bhava kritartha. And that is what we want to achieve in life. You will become, you have achieved whatever has to be achieved. Brahma Rupena Sanstha, you yourself will be living as Brahman. You yourself will be living as Brahman if we realize the Atman in this way. So there is, that is the last shloka about the real nature of Atman. After that, he is taking the next topic. And the next topic is what is bondage? Though the Shishya had asked first question, what is bondage? But Guru knows how to reply. So non-self, discrimination, real self-realization leading to mukti. And now he tells what is the bondage, what is the bandha. I think we should take it in the next class. So we have read up to 136 today, and as much as possible, we have tried to feel, not understand, but feel what is our real nature, which is perfectly blissful. And through that, as the process he has given, that is our struggle of whole life. one day we may realize that. So with this we stop here, and in the next class on Friday, we'll take up what is Bandha and other topics. Om Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tama Gocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmiyam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna.